You're finally up there, knowing that you're being live broadcast to a good chunk of people around the world watching it. Talk us through what's going on in your head. Like, where were you at? You looked a little bit nervous, which is absolutely fair.
For sure, I was very nervous. I think also what made me look more nervous is they zoomed in on my face as hard as they possibly could for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But I was 100%. I was nervous as fuck. But yeah, I hadn't done a comp in like 10 years. So I was like just trying to contain my nerves basically and like just be calm and like, yeah, just be ready and calm and all that kind of stuff. So that's when I was just sat there, like, I was just like trying to be like calm and ready. And yeah, then you just drop in and you're like.
You wore a gum shield. Would you normally wear one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wear a gum shield these days. Like I wear it almost all the time unless I forget it, which I do forget it a lot. It's such a small thing to remember. But they just really help with concussions.
Okay.
So I wear it as much as I can.
I did not know that. Do you know what the theory is then?
Well, like I guess like your jaw is very like contributes towards that, doesn't it? Like when you hit your head and like it clenches, it's like the seizing up of that like kind of contributes towards it being worse.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can actually get I forget the brand, but you can get gum shields these days that have like some sort of little monitor thing installed into them, and it tells you if you ever hit your head, it can tell you the exact like it's got you can get like an app and it tells you like how hard you've hit it and like all the stats like it will tell you whether you should ride or not sort of thing. Atani has one. Ask her about it at some point. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's a proven thing that gum shields help reduce concussion. That's why they're wearing them a lot in like American football and stuff as well. Yeah.
I always just thought it was to protect like, biting down or whatever when you get hit. But
yeah, it's a concussion thing. And a lot of people wear them actually now, like a lot of riders.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd jump on board with that because
why not?
I hate a concussion and I'll do anything to try and reduce it.
If it's going to help them, for sure. So yeah, we're live on Red Bull TV and you're dropping in. And there was, the wind was kind of a bit gusty, right? Like, how was your run?
My run, like as I said before, I didn't have any practice that morning. I rode down a bit of the last half of my line, but I didn't ride any of the top stuff. So I had no idea what the speeds would be because, like you said, it was pretty gusty. And I completely underestimated the speed on one of the jumps. Because the wind was just like different to how I was used to it being, and like a case of jump basically. But we had, because it was really windy, we had like I had people on my team, and Vinny, who I was sharing a fair few things of, we had people stationed throughout the line on like the bigger hits that were just purely there for if it was too gusty that we would have basically got blown on a feature and like crashed. They would have told us before coming into it.
God, that's a lot of responsibility for them to make that call.
100%, a lot. But like it was like important to us because as much as we want to do a top to bottom run, like we don't want to eat shit on a huge feature just because it's like, because it was really like, it was picking up just randomly and it would be like crazy gusty at times. So if it happened to be like that before coming into a massive step down or something, it would have been like a horrendous outcome.
And I guess psychologically helpful for you to know, right, I don't need to think about the wind because I've got people on the hill that are going to stop me if that's a problem.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Takes one less thing off your plate kind of thing.
That's it. Yeah, like the last thing you want to do is be trying to get down on your run and then have to look out for like the wind socks and like gauge whether you think it's good to go or not. So yeah, luckily it was definitely windy throughout our runs, but luckily it was like good enough to get down, all good.
Yeah.
So
did you have any feedback from any of the women that had already gone before you? Is that any connection from the bottom to the top in that way?
No, nothing.
And can you see their run really or not?
Yeah, so there's this little like screen, like the little TV thing at the top.
Okay.
And you can watch their runs, like so everyone stood around watching whoever's dropped go down, which is really cool because you can see your mates like nail their runs and it's like just so inspiring. So you're like, yes, can't wait to get down.
Yeah. And then you finally get that flat section at the bottom and know you've survived a top to bottom Red Bull Rampage run. How are you feeling like rolling into the finish corral?
I was just so stoked to survive it because it was the conditions are so gnarly. Like,
it was loose.
So loose, so steep, so windy. So I was just like beyond glad to have got down in one piece. And like to see all the women in front of me also have done the same, I was like, yeah, just stoked for the whole thing, basically.
Yeah. How competitive was it, if that makes sense? Because like you lot are all good friends. There was it was such an important event, like the first Women's Rampage. Was there still a sort of underlying competitive thing going on, or was everyone pretty chill?
Like everyone was so immersed in like their own thing that I didn't really notice like any crazy competitiveness. Like there's definitely women that were like super focused on like what they were doing and like this is what they were doing sort of thing, which fair enough. Like obviously you've got to do that. But when it comes to like the competitiveness, it wasn't at all, because like it was so subjective to like your own line and what you're doing on your line. Like you can't really, I don't know, it's not like you're riding the same track or you're getting in each other's way on your comp run or anything like that. So it was a very like, yeah, like everyone was just kind of supporting each other and stoked for each other, which was really cool.
Yeah, it is. And there's been a bit of commentary, especially in the men's, around the scoring of the event. Like, how did everyone feel on the women's side? Were people generally okay with like how it was all scored? Because it's so subjective, so hard to put numbers exactly to riding, because
for sure
everyone interprets it differently, right?
It's really hard. That's it. Like I think if you enter a judged event, like you have to be prepared to be, I don't know,
disagreeing with it. Yeah,
because it is, like you said, it to some extent it is subjective, and not everyone's always going to agree, and there's always that's why it ruffles so many feathers every year at Rampage, because it's like there's nothing, like there's no clock to be like, okay, I can't argue with the clock.
Yeah.
Like you can always argue with a person.
Yeah.
But I think everyone, like in the women's side, I didn't chat to anyone that was pissed about the judging.
Cool.
I think we were just stoked to have survived the event, and but yeah, like I do find it interesting, and I'd love to chat to some of the judges on like why they judge certain things in a certain way, just so I can understand it a bit more.
Yeah, is there much insight for you as an athlete? Because you'd hope that process was transparent enough that you know, okay, if I want to score more, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, like I mean, you get like the judging criteria, and it's just like it has like 5 or 6 things which they judge you on, like amplitude, tricks, the like technicality of a line, all these kinds of things. But it's still in a way subjective to what the judges think is more technical and what they, you know, like, yeah, it's tech. I don't really, I would hate to be a judge. It would be such a hard job. It would be so tough, like copying so much shit after the event, you know,
sure.
Especially having to make decisions like in such a short amount of time after people have done a run. But yeah, like definitely there's a few things that I didn't quite understand, which I'd love to chat to them about.
Okay.
Just so you can, because I went there just I wanted to like do my best, like in the digging and the riding and everything, and then enjoy the whole experience. And I didn't focus too much on what would be judged better than other things.
Yeah.
Just because I really wanted to make sure that I like had a good time as well as like getting super gnarly. So yeah, just to understand that stuff a bit more would be sick.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to go back again, like it's a slightly different thing, isn't it? The second Women's Rampage is very different to the first.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you might, at that point, you might be a bit more like, right, okay, how can I score higher here?
Yeah, I'd love to go back with the experience and like knowledge and learnings I have now. And since we already have like top to bottom runs now, like to be able to change those and make them, like there's so much more room to make it what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be really cool to be able to use that for another Rampage.
Yeah, you know that hill now, you've got infrastructure on there, like ready to like add a bit to and tweak.
And you're not just trying to get like the top to bottom line done. You're like, you can actually like make features into exactly what you want them to be and stuff. So that'd be really cool.
Make things trickable and all that side of stuff. Like, just elevate, I guess, from where it was. But on reflection, like 5th place at the first ever Women's Rampage, like, are you stoked with that?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm just stoked to have done it and to have left in one piece, and to have like, there's so many things along the week which, like, looking back on it, I'm so stoked. I'm so proud of myself and so proud of everyone else who was there. Like, as a whole, I'm so proud of the whole thing. So yeah, I'm just super gassed about the whole thing.